everybody to the University of Adelaide, to the Adelaide Law School's Open Day session, where we're talking about the various clinics and internships that we offer here as a law school. We are committed to ensuring that our students can gain practical legal experiences while studying here with us in the law school. So we're very keen to tell you all about these clinics and internships. Now, we have at the law school, we're going to start by talking about internships, and we have 5 different internships, and we'll go through the various different ones, and we will bring these to life by having students talk firsthand about their experiences. The first one is the Law and Justice internship, and it places students in all sorts of different legal offices, courts, tribunals, oversight bodies, government departments here in Adelaide. And it's one of our electives, and I would like to introduce Angus to come and speak about his Law and Justice internship and what he got out of that experience.
Thanks, Laura. Hi, my name is Angus Sanastefano, and last semester I was fortunate enough to be selected to intern at the Solicitor General's office with the former Solicitor General, Chris Bleeby. And I'm incredibly grateful for this experience, which challenged my thinking, grew my professional skills and work ethic, and open up some incredible opportunities, which I'll touch on in a moment. First of all, for anyone who's on the fence about applying for the Law and Justice internship, I would strongly encourage you to apply. If your application is successful, you'll be placed in one of a variety of locations across a range of government departments and judicial chambers, and you'll work with competent and knowledgeable lawyers who are willing to invite you into their work and who will challenge you with various tasks. In my case, that involved a lot of research and writing. But it'll ultimately help you become a better student and lawyer. The connections you make and the skills you pick up will be invaluable and to the development of your legal career. As I've said, I'm incredibly grateful for my experience working at the SG's office. The Solicitor General is an individual who is appointed to that position by the Governor. They provide legal advice to the executive government, and one of their goals is to be independent and non-political, to balance the increasing political engagement of the Attorney General. Each state has a Solicitor General, and so does the Commonwealth. The SG represents the government in court proceedings, particularly in constitutional matters or other high profile or significant cases involving the executive or any of its various departments. During my time at the SG's office, I was able to work closely with the previous SG, Chris Bleeby, writing memoranda and conducting legal research in a variety of practice areas. And the variety of matters I dealt with in the office was a great broadening experience for me. I was really thankful for the welcoming and supportive environment that I found myself in as well. Despite the impact of COVID-19 on many workplaces right in the middle of my internship, I was not forgotten, and in fact I was given some great research tasks to undertake that were directly relevant to legal considerations the government were making in relation to COVID-19 restrictions and guidelines. But perhaps the best part of my experience was the doors that were opened to me as a result of my internship. Towards the end of my internship, to my surprise, Chris Bleeby was appointed as a Justice of the Supreme Court. And because of the relationship I was able to build with him during my time at the SG's office, I was fortunate enough to be invited to complete my internship with him at the Supreme Court and then to become his first associate. So since finishing my degree, I've now been working full-time with him at the Supreme Court and having an absolute blast. The incredible thing is my experience of the Law and Justice internship is not actually all that unique. A high proportion of students that undertake the internship connect getting their first real job back either directly or indirectly to their experience at the internship. So I've really loved the challenge that the Law and Justice internship has provided. I've been stretched to think more clearly and at a faster pace than I ever have before. And I particularly enjoyed working on complex appeals involving some deep legal analysis and argument. So I hope my experience encourages some of you watching to take hold of the opportunities that this internship provides and hopefully kickstart your own legal career. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going to hear from Natasha El-Shafai, who was with the Commonwealth Ombudsman, which is one of our very important independent oversight bodies. Thank you, Natasha.
Hey everyone, my name is Natasha and I did the Law and Justice internship last semester with the Office of the Commonwealth Ombudsman. It was my final semester of my undergraduate degree and I'm very fortunate to have partaken in this internship in my last semester. So my internship consisted predominantly of research into a treaty called the Optional Protocol to the Convention Against Torture, and researching into the legislative implementation of that treaty into Australia at the federal and state level, and international best practice. During my internship, I was very fortunate to be able to communicate and sort of discuss with other people in the office their roles, because there are a variety of different teams in the Ombudsman. It's not just detention assurance, there are a lot of many teams, so it was very interesting to hear about their roles and what they do on a day-to-day basis. After interning for only a couple of months with the office, I was actually offered a position, a contracted position with the office, because of the knowledge that I had acquired through my internship, through the research that I've been doing on this treaty. So that was a very fortunate opportunity for me, considering that I was finishing my degree that semester, and I am now currently working there part-time and undergoing my GDLP. So this internship definitely opened the doors for that, and I'm very fortunate to have taken part, and I definitely encourage everyone to apply.
So now we've heard from our law and justice interns. Now a second program which we have is the human rights internship program, and I'm going to get two students to come and speak to you about that. Now the first one, Alex Beale, she's actually doing her second internship. She did a law and justice internship and it's flowed now into her human rights internship. So she'll tell you about that internship, and that will be followed by Natili Mishra, who will be talking about her internship over the summer period in India. So Alex, if you'd like to come up, thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Alexandra Beale, and I'm currently undertaking a human rights internship with the Australian Human Rights Commission. Despite COVID-19, I've been able to undertake the internship on a remote basis, which has still been a really, really great opportunity due to the culture of the office. My role as an intern has included collaborating with the Disability Rights Commissioner, contributing to submissions to the Disability Royal Commission, and undertaking research that has informed project proposals through the Commission to do with housing and employment. The internship has provided me with some really invaluable exposure to how human rights law intersects with both government policy and law, as well as the private sector, and how that intersects with the community more broadly. It's been really great to undertake this internship, as coming from undertaking an internship with the DPP through the Adelaide Law School's Law and Justice internship. And it's just really built my skills and research ability and my exposure to how my practical legal skills can be developed through legal practice. Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name's Natalie, and I was lucky enough for 10 weeks to undertake a human rights internship at the Human Rights Law Network in New Delhi, India. This was thanks to a generous grant provided by the Law Foundation of South Australia, and also thanks to the support of the University of Adelaide and the staff. So the Human Rights Law Network is an organisation that is part of the larger international organisation, the International Network of Civil Liberties Organisation. And this organisation consists of human rights organisations at the forefront of their countries. And there's 24 branches of the Human Rights Law Network, or HRLN, in India, and I was lucky enough to work in the head office in New Delhi. So the team is headed by Dr. Colin Gonsalves, who is a senior advocate in the Supreme Court of India, and there's a group of passionate advocates that work very closely alongside him. So as my role as an intern at HRLN, I was able to conduct legal research, and I drafted various petitions that were filed in the Supreme Court of India and the High Court of Delhi. It was very interesting to learn about the complex structure of the judiciary in India, and about the different types of writ petitions and public interest litigation that goes on in the field of human rights. Some of the issues that I worked on included acid attacks and trafficking and slavery, police brutality, religious violence and housing rights, all of which are very pressing human rights issues in India and also globally. Another major part of my work in India was going on fact-finding missions. So we would travel from New Delhi to more rural regions and speak to victims of police brutality and victims of other human rights abuses, and collect evidence from them, speak to them, and take their testimonies. In an incident of police violence that occurred at a university in India, we were able to speak to university students and created a compilation of over 100 testimonies, which we submitted to the Indian National Human Rights Commission and also included in petitions that were filed in the High Court of Delhi and Supreme Court of India, which is still being heard to this day. I would highly recommend this internship to anyone who has any sort of interest in human rights or international law. It's an invaluable experience, eye-opening, and the support of the University of Adelaide staff and of the Law Foundation is something that I'm incredibly grateful for. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, as you've heard, a lot of our students are really committed to social justice and to helping the world. And another of our internship programs, which many students participate in, that facilitates that is our Native Title Internship Program. With this program, we collaborate with the Aurora Project, which is an organisation which places interns in Native Title representative bodies and Indigenous policy organisations around Australia. We're privileged to be able to work with them because they have a network of a broad range of organisations who take interns, and that gives our students fantastic opportunities to experience all kinds of practical work in really unique locations and developing a whole range of exciting skills in an area of law that not everyone gets to experience. One of our students who's had that opportunity is Emma, and Emma is going to talk to us about her experiences undertaking internships in Western Australia.
Thank you, Anne. So the Aurora Project, so to become involved with it, it's just an application process like anything. So written application, interview. As Anne said, you do go Australia-wide. So when I say Australia-wide, I mean from Perth to Sydney to Queensland, but also more rural locations such as Thursday Island, Kalgoorlie, the Kimberley, the Isa, Dubbo, you name it, anywhere in Australia, they'll take you. So in addition to native title, criminal law, family law, working within the courts or within civil agencies, that's all part of the Aurora Project as well. So for my two placements, I did a placement in July of 2019 and then again in February 2020, both in WA, one at Kalgoorlie and one in Geraldton. So after I passed all the interview stages, I was proposed to be placed and I put down as a preference the Aboriginal Legal Service. And they have about 18 offices all over WA. So you don't necessarily choose to go to, say, Kalgoorlie, you go to the organisation, and that's where I was placed. And then the Geraldton, I went with the Aboriginal Family Law Service, and they placed me in Geraldton. So in terms of the type of work, in Kalgoorlie it was criminal office. So one of the main things as a volunteer is you do a lot of disclosure. So the police come, they give you a nice envelope of all their evidence, and you just go through it with the solicitors in the office. You do a lot of court visits. Anytime any of the solicitors go to court, strongly recommend you go with them. It's just exposure to such unique situations, and they have up to 15 or beyond cases a day, which is really interesting. Another aspect of prison visits. They're interesting to see a different side when it comes to sentencing, just to see how the solicitor will talk to the client and those important stages. And circuit courts, which is, especially in WA, is something that is a different experience. So circuit court means if you find Kalgoorlie, roughly draw a circle of 500k around, that's your circuit courts, and that's where you go. If you're there at the right time, you're lucky enough to go on one of these circuit courts. I went to Leonora, which was interesting as well. In Geraldton, it was a family law office. So that was more a bit of a paperwork. So lots of parenting orders, child matters, advanced restraining orders. I did a bit more research there, a bit more legal letters and things like that. So it was I found it very good to go to WA because they have different laws to South Australia. And it was just a very different experience outside my comfort zone. So you are thrown a bit in the deep end with this internship, but you're not thrown to the wolves and you just learn so much. And I think, as Anne will talk about as well, the native title elective is part of what you can do with the Aurora project. So it doesn't have to necessarily be about native title, it can be about wherever you go. I did mine on a criminal issue in WA, but it was just a very interesting thing to combine. And finally, why do the Aurora? Well, it's a foot in the door. It's something to put on your resume, and it's a lot of fun, a lot of experience. And you also gain a wider understanding of Indigenous issues within Australia. Also, it is a very well-known internship Australia-wide. Coming from South Australia to WA, a common question was why did you come to Kalgoorlie? Why did you come to Geraldton? Simple phrase was, it's part of Aurora. That's it. They understand it. It's very well known. And it's a very good talking point in interviews as well. So check out the website.
So as you can hear from what Emma said, it's a great opportunity to do an enormously varied portfolio of practical work. But we also know that legal research is incredibly important for our graduates. And one of the ways that we try to facilitate that is by linking students like Emma, who've undertaken one of the Aurora Project internships, with an opportunity to explore an issue that they've encountered in practice through a supervised legal research project. And that's what the native title internship elective is. And I've been involved with that for many years. And we see some amazing pieces of research come out of that, which have real practical consequences in the world. Many students send the research back to the host organisation where they did their research, where it's critical for underfunded and overworked organisations to have some of this really seminal, groundbreaking, thoughtful research to implement into their practice. But also students have published their work, and it can be, again, a real opportunity to develop your knowledge and skills, but also to set yourselves apart and to show how engaged, interested and well-rounded you can be as a graduate of our law school. Now, that is 3 of our internship programs. I'm going to hand to Kelly Toole, who's going to tell you about another.
And I'm also going to mention that I did a human rights internship as part of my law degree, and I firmly believe that every great thing that's happened in my career since then comes from that human rights internship. I went to Houston and worked for 4 months with a small firm that represent people facing the death penalty. And when you've had an experience like that, it totally changes your view of the world. And when you're applying for jobs when you come back, you have an answer to every question about your commitment to social justice and your ability to handle stress. So it can be an absolute life and career changer. But I'm going to talk about 2 new internships that were just introduced into the university this year. And the first one is the legal practice internship. And this is about bringing together people who have self-placements at an institution. So we've had people placed with trade unions, with government departments, with commercial law firms and with barristers' chambers. They organise the placement themselves and they go and undertake the sort of routine tasks that a junior lawyer would take. They might be doing some legal drafting, they would be attending court on occasion, doing legal research and really working closely with the practitioners in that field. And then concurrently with that, they undertake assessment which is linked to that. So we do podcasts and we do research assignments. So the issues that arise about becoming a lawyer, the culture of actually getting used to the workforce, as well as actual issues that have arisen in practice. So we have had people do things on dealing with clients, dealing with confidentiality, ethical issues that arise, as well as professional duties, and then the substantive law topics to do with how taking instructions from clients on will matters. We didn't know how topical it was, but looking at the introduction of electronic signatures, I mean, this was before COVID hit, and then suddenly in the middle of COVID, electronic signatures becomes a really live issue. So by being in practice and exploring those issues, you're really at the interface of legal practice and study, and it's been a great experience. Like some of the students from the other internships we have had from our first batch this year, someone was able to get, Tabitha was able to get secure employment based on the experience she had in the internship. internship. So that's a great success story for us, for her. But even if it doesn't happen as directly, I had an internship and gained a position from that, it's still building those skills that when you're applying for other jobs, you're going to be very well placed. And I love CJ's comments here about why would you want to apply for an internship and compete with other people, make it happen yourself. And so I think that's really satisfying to think, instead of what internships are available, what opportunities are available in the whole of the profession, and I'll go out there and make some contacts with the profession and see if I can build that into an internship. So it's a very empowering experience, and it's been very successful so far. Then the other internship that has been introduced, also new this year, it's available in first and second semester as an elective, is the Law Research Internship. So it not only builds on the legal research skills, but it's also putting students mostly in international law kind of scenarios. So we've had students placed with the something called the Space Security Index, which is something that's a research project working on essentially laws for outer space, and there's a manual that's created, and the student work is actually contributing to that. Other students have been part of the cooperative research centres in cybersecurity and areas around cybersecurity. It means that you're partnered with an organisation. So you're working with an Adelaide Uni staff member, but with a professional in one of those research centres. And the other area we've had placements is with the International Humanitarian Law Clinic. And work that students are doing there has actually been presented to the United Nations. So it really is a way of using your research experience in a very practical way and making connections not just with the local profession, but globally. And that's really got potential to enormously open up opportunities for students. Thank you.